What is the creepiest glitch in the Matrix you've experienced? I spilled chocolate ice cream on my leg. I wiped it off and there was still a pale brown stain in the shape of the ice cream splotch. I told my mother, who said it was a birthmark. I will swear under oath that never before that moment did I have a birthmark there. I was sitting in my office one day when my desk phone rings. And it is my undersheriff asking me to bring him all the reports / dispatch logs / any documentation ref to a specific. So I get it all together and start towards his office. I meet him in the hallway and hand him the paperwork. He asked what it was. I told him it's the XXXXX documentation you asked for. He then swears he never asked me for it, that he had just arrived and had not called my office. He was on his way down the hall to ask me to get it together. This didn't happen to me, but to my dad. He works for a heating and air conditioning company, so he often has to go out to people's houses to fix things. About 5 years ago he told me he had a bizarre dream where he went on a call to an elderly woman's house. Had never seen the house or this woman before, but he said it was bizarre because of how realistic the whole thing felt. He fixed her boiler in the dream, chatted for a bit, and then left. About a week later his company gets a call from an elderly woman needing her boiler fixed. They send my dad on the job. When he arrived, he said it was the exact same house from his dream and the same old lady. He knew her name before he even had to ask and knew his way around the house without having gone inside yet. When she opened the door, she said hi Gary, and when he asked how she already knew his name, she said she had a dream last week that her boiler broke and that my dad is the one who came to fix it. So she just knew that would be his name. Two complete strangers, never having met each other, had the exact same dream that they would meet each other, and they did. The whole thing is so crazy. When I was little, 6 years old, my parents took us to Disneyland in Florida. We went to go watch one of those shows with parrots. During the middle, I had to go to the bathroom, so my mom took me and left my dad and my sister to watch the show. When we came back, the entire stadium was empty, so we thought the show ended and we went back to the bathroom area to wait for my dad, thinking that's where he must have taken my sister, since it's the only bathroom station in the area. We sat on the bench and waited for 2 hours before my mom gave up. This was pre-cell phone. The only remarkable thing during this time was that one of those iguana lizard things was fighting a squirrel behind the bench, and I watched that with great joy. I actually remember this. We did some other stuff, then went back to the hotel room to wait for them. The entire time my mom was annoyed at my dad, saying it's so irresponsible of him. A few hours after we got back to the hotel room, my dad and sister, who is a year younger than me, came back and obviously they started arguing, both saying they were waiting for the other at the bathroom. Me and my sister, on the hand, started telling each other about the lizard and squirrel we saw fighting. Apparently, both of us saw what happened from the same vantage point on that bench. My parents stopped to listen to us and asked us to clarify. We both saw the same lizard, same squirrel, fighting from the same point on the bench. It was one of those inexplicable occurrences, but they didn't give it further thought until me and my sister brought up the remember that time we saw the lizard and squirrel fight, and my mom was like, yeah, that was a weird day. I woke up from a dream where I died, and when I opened my eyes all I saw were faces all over the walls staring at me. It was terrifying. I got up from my bed and turned on the light. The faces didn't go away. I left the room and made sure I was awake. I wrote on my computer, drank some water, and when I went back in my bedroom the faces were gone. I believe this is a sleep hallucination, which I had another experience of as well. Was going to be late and was coming up with a story in order to avoid getting in trouble. Story I came up with is that as I was being pulled over by a cop for speeding, someone rear-ended him and it hit my vehicle. Had a pretty big dent in my truck, but no one knew what I drove yet as I was new to the job. 5 minutes later I got pulled over for going 75 in a 65 and low, and behold, someone clipped the cop car and pushed the car into my truck. Ticket was excused. Boss told me it was okay. Got that bumper fixed for free and $1,000 from the dude's insurance company, the one who hit the cop car. This just happened quite recently. I was heading towards a place from a train station that was being remodeled, and there's a huge chunk that's under construction. I got a bit lost in the area and my Google Maps was telling me that I should go through one path. But I couldn't, since the whole area was basically off limits and I should take a detour. This was some busy underpass with people going to the platforms, and there was one big temporary plywood wall with big signs of under construction, unauthorized access, forbidden, no entry. This part got weird. That plywood wall had a plywood door, and people were entering/exiting it like a normal busy door. Completely normal looking people that looked like they didn't belong in a construction area. Even some old woman entered it. So then I thought that the map is working fine, so I decided to go through the door, and it got even more weirder. On the other side was just a huge empty area, completely under construction. An area of sand, piles of gravel, some pillars and construction in the distance. The edge of the underpass was completely unfinished. I was really confused, since I wasn't far behind the last person who went through the door, and I had no idea where the guy went. There was no path. It didn't seem to look like there was some path where the people would gone. There's a big gravel road in front of me going a bit to the side, and the map was telling me to follow some similar path. So I thought maybe I should check it out a bit. Except duck no. A big caterpillar tractor sped up along that road and I wasn't planning to walk near that. I saw the guy in the tractor looking at me confused. So the next thing I thought was to go back, since I shouldn't even be here. I opened the door and a few people walking away/to a platform looked at me weirdly, like I did when I saw people entering the door. No one entered after I went through nor when I came out. So after that, I just had to take the detour since I was in a hurry anyway and forgot about it for the rest of the day. TL. Doctor, I guess I found a secret corner where people would spawn/despawn, except it wouldn't happen if I was there. I was listening to my friend talk and he suddenly just lagged out, I guess. He sounded like a static phone and then repeated a couple of words. Edit. I didn't think my comment would get this many upvotes. Thanks guys. Exclamation mark. Kinda weird. Highest upvoted comment is probably about a seizure. When I was a kid, I had Metroid Fusion for the GBA. That game was hella hard for, I don't know, 8 years old me. There was a final boss, a spider, that was difficulty spike in an already difficult game, and I got stuck there. Then, one day, I lost the game. Since I hadn't finished it, and I really liked it, I convinced my parents to buy it again. I played and finished it. I was quite happy. Then, one day, in my grandparents' house, I found a Metroid Fusion cartridge. It had a single save file more or less around the spider boss. I thought I had 2 save files. But whatever. I had found my game. Fast forward a couple of years and I get a call from my great aunt. She was moving, and when removing some furniture, found a GBA cartridge. Metroid Fusion. That her grandson told her was mine. I didn't believe her. Of course. I went to see it. Exactly. That was my original cartridge exactly as I remembered it. I have no idea where the cartridge I found at my grandparents' house came from. I asked every possible cousin, not that we are too many, like 4. Everyone I could think of, and nobody had ever owned the game. Heck, only one of them had a GBA. I'm sure there is a reasonable explanation, but I can't find it. Not mine, and I don't know if it counts as a glitch in the Matrix, but my sister's and mom's by extent. So a little backstory. My sister was born with heart complications and nobody thought she'd survive unless she went under a certain surgery, and even then she'd be heavily disabled and not live past 12. My mom told me that my grandmother prayed and asked for my sister to live and to take me instead. Please let her be healthy. She died August 2007 and my sister was born a few months later. Same year. My sister lived without the surgery, is now 10, and is healthy as she can be. The doctor said they didn't know how it happened and called it a miracle. Now for the creepy part. One day my sister and mom were doing something. I don't remember. But my sister turns to my mom and says, "A long time ago. I was born in 19X6. Forgot the year. That was the year my grandmother was born. We never told her that." Another time she said her favorite food was X. Again, I can't remember. That was my grandma's favorite food. Again. Never told her that. She did the same thing again, except with my grandma's old home in Afghanistan. Never told her about that either. My sister doesn't even remember saying any of this. We asked. Then again, she was really young when she said these, so maybe she legitimately forgot. Whatever the case, it's creepy but also interesting and a little heart-wrenching / warming. TL. Dr. Grandma died same year sister was born. Sister was not supposed to live for long after birth, but she did. Sister starts saying creepy things that make me think she's my grandma reincarnated. Sometimes I swear that lights flicker in whatever room I'm in. It's like someone turned all the present lights off simultaneously. I even asked those around me if they saw the lights turn off. I don't recall blinking any time this has happened either. I wonder if I have mini nanosecond blackouts. As often as every couple days I'll vividly remember being exactly where I'm as it is, but at a different time. Like repeating a cutscene in a video game. It's frequent enough I've repeatedly questioned the legitimacy of my existence. My friend and I were talking to our roommate and her girlfriend one night. Roommate had just received her new phone and was sitting in bed using it while the four of us chatted. So, roommate had sat her phone down while we were all chatting. She goes to pick it back up and it's gone. Like, she had just sat it down for a few minutes tops before she noticed that the thing has poofed. I call it for her and we can't hear it. We take the comforter and sheets off the bed and shake them all out. We look under the bed, behind it, everywhere we can. That phone is gone. Even though we hadn't left her room at all during our conversation, when the phone disappeared, we tore apart the whole apartment trying to find it. Finally, we decide to try her car. It was in the locked trunk. We lived on the 3rd floor and were all in the same room watching her use it before it teleported. To this day I cannot explain what happened. Was watching TV with friends and we landed on some old 80s movie I used to watch over and over but hadn't seen in a long time. I had the dialogue memorized and it all instantly came back and I knew what was going to be said next. Here's the freaky part: we changed channels and kept trying to find something to watch. I noticed that everything we watched was the same. I knew every line of dialogue as if I was remembering it from having memorized it. These were all things I had never watched before. Here's the real freaky part: it started happening even when my friends were talking. An instant before they said anything, I knew word for word what they were saying. The effect only lasted an hour or so, but it was bizarre! Exclamation mark. Not sure if this counts. I went into sleep paralysis in my dorm room and heard my roommate ask if I wanted donuts and she started elaborating on donuts. I couldn't move, speak, or breathe the entire time. When I woke up, I asked her if she was talking to me about donuts. She says, no, but that's weird because my boyfriend just texted me pictures of a donut he just got. And then later that day some random people came up to me and offered me a free donut. Other dreams: I had a dream about a hamster running on a wheel. When I woke up my roommate said someone threw a hamster down the trash chute. I also had a dream about a white rat. And the next day my friend texts me that his white pet rat had died. When I was a teenager, I was in my room and decided to go to the kitchen to make a sandwich. I looked at the clock before I left. 6:48 p.m. Went to the kitchen, made an awesome sandwich, got some chips, and a drink. This probably took me at least 10 minutes. When I walked back into my room, the clock still said 6:48 p.m. I stood there for a bit really confused. Then it turned to 6:49. When I was about 9, I was eating dinner in my room for some reason. I was sat at my dresser that had a big mirror, and my dad came in to check on me. He asked me if I wanted some more tea, to which I said yes and handed him my cup. I watched him walk out and close the door, looked over to see my cup full of tea right from where I picked it up. I asked my dad about it. He said he never came in my room. I was waiting tables about 12 years ago and my coworker forgot to put in a food order for a 3-top table. He also forgot what the order was. I was laughing at him stressing out trying to figure it out, and I said it was probably fried mozzarella, a cheeseburger with no onions, and chicken fingers. I was completely joking, and that was their exact order. It freaked me out. I made him let me run the food to the table to make sure he wasn't ducking with me. Not creepiest, but it was recent. I was standing outside work, having a smoke. I was looking at the bike rack and thinking about how it was silly they just placed one there and didn't bolt it down or anything. Then a bird footprint showed up. Just one footprint. Like a ghost bird put just one foot down in the middle of the otherwise undisturbed snow. It happened right in front of me. I was looking exactly where it happened when it happened. Very weird. Most likely the snow just happened to collapse in that shape, but still it was strange. Sometimes I'll be talking to someone I've never met, and very specific facts about them will pop into my consciousness out of nowhere, like this person had a golden retriever that died in 2009. Then they'll inevitably bring up the fact that I mentioned without me saying anything first. Sometimes seconds later. Sometimes years. I have a drawing tablet. The pen/stylus thing that comes with it has no means of attaching to anything, so it's very easy to misplace. Anyway, this May, I lost the pen. I thought I'd put it in my backpack, but I checked every pocket. Basically turned the whole thing inside out. No pen. I did, however, find my favorite pencil, which I'd lost a few months before. I had a strange sense of certainty that the pen would turn up as soon as I got a new one. And $30 for an easy to lose plastic cylinder seemed a bit steep at the time. So I put off ordering a replacement for a while. Eventually I did, though. I briefly lost the replacement pen while visiting my grandparents. And during the search I meticulously went through my backpack again and found nothing. Before I found it in the pocket of my sweater. A few weeks later, I looked in my backpack for my favorite pencil. It was nowhere to be found. But the first thing I pulled out of the backpack pocket was the original tablet pen. I immediately went and found the replacement pen and put the two of them together. To make sure they both existed in the same universe, they did. The only explanation I can think of is an infestation of pocket gremlins. Or perhaps there's a portal to another dimension in my backpack. TL. Doctor, lost $30 tablet pen in my backpack. Found long lost favorite pencil in its place. Ordered new pen. While looking for favorite pencil. Proceeded to find original pen in the backpack I'd already thoroughly searched twice. Favorite pencil nowhere to be found. Please subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit universe.